talking about what might have been in New Orleans, plus interviews with Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. And of course, at midnight, man, Steve Levy and Barry Melrose host a special edition of SportsCenter, the Levy Lounge, with Alexander Ovechkin and, of course, Mike the Mullet Gundy. All right, that's it for me in this edition of SportsCenter. Stay tuned as Michigan State seeks its 11th straight win when they play host to winless on the road Illinois. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
It is senior night here in East Lansing, Michigan. Has a chance to be a really special one as well. Michigan State one win away from clinching a share of the Big Ten championship. Welcome to Super Tuesday, presented by Boost Mobile. This is Big Ten basketball on ESPN. And the folks here in East Lansing at the Breslin Center are expecting a very emotional night. Illinois on the road to take on the second-ranked Michigan State Spartans. And hi, everybody. Look who we borrowed for the night from Big Monday to Super Tuesday. Fran Fraschilla is with us. Dave Fleming, Molly McGrath will join us as well. Just a couple weeks ago, Michigan State, overwhelming favorite of the preseason. Didn't look like they'd get a chance to win the Big Ten. One win away from clinching a share of the title.
Absolutely. This has been title town for most of Tom Izzo's career at Michigan State, but they haven't won one since 2012 in the regular season. So a lot at stake tonight, and particularly for Miles Bridges, the precocious sophomore who came back for his sophomore year, eschewing the NBA so that he has a chance to win a title. He could do it tonight.
I think it's a good point you make, Fran, in that it's senior night for three seniors who are starting, who don't usually. Ben Carter, Gavin Schilling, and the guy who's got the ball now, Tum Tum Nairn, who's been a big part of this Michigan State program. They run a play for Miles Bridges right off the start, and he gets stuffed at the rim. So Illinois, good defensive beginning for the Fighting Illini, but for Miles Bridges, likely his final home game in East Lansing. A three right side is good.
And this is an Illinois team that will guard you with a lot of pressure. First meeting, they turned Michigan State over quite a bit. And they'll exert that pressure early tonight.
Michigan State won that first matchup in Champaign. They turned it over 25 times. Tom Izzo talked a lot about that with his team before the game tonight. Tum Tum Nairn playing his final home game. Three-time captain. Ben Carter has to launch one up with the shot clock winding down. And the rebound off of Illinois, out of bounds, so the Spartans will keep it.
Yeah, we talked to Tom Izzo earlier today and the decision to start these guys. And he said, you know what, Tum Tum Nairn has meant so much. Schilling, two guys who started in the Final Four. And then Ben Carter, the six-year transfer from UNLV in Oregon, has been so much to this team in practice that he felt they deserved it.
Miles Bridges, who's been a tremendous shooter this year, knocks down the three.
Can't wait to watch this kid. He's got game, both inside and out. Have you heard that before?
Well, we've talked about that a little bit on this show this year. Rod Black coming off a career performance. Kipper Nichols fighting for the ball, but Ben Carter fights a little harder.
Great leader. Hasn't played very much, but a great leader for this team.
Langford misses the shot. But Tom Izzo doesn't always do this. It's not automatic that he starts his seniors on senior night. But this group, he felt compelled to do it, and part of that was because Cassius Winston, Nick Ward, other players said, look.
Thunder Warriors, Saturday at 8:30 on ABC, presented by YouTube TV.
Early lead for Michigan State. Very cool. Tom Izzo led Molly McGrath into the locker room for his pregame speech on senior night. Molly, what did Tom have to say?
It was so cool, Dave. Well, Tom Izzo was emotional but focused, and his message to his team was all about unity. He told them, you know, a lot of teams have ups and downs, but they're not close enough to overcome them. This team is, and you've done an incredible job all year of sticking to your goals. Before the season, I told you to be closer as a group. You've done that. I told you to work harder. You've done that. All that's left is a chance to do what few teams have been able to do. That's play for a championship on your home court on senior night. We finished with go prove to everyone how close this group really is, Dave.
You know, Molly gives you goosebumps just recounting that story, because anybody who's coached knows how long the season is, and this particular Michigan State season has been long. But Tom Izzo loves this team. He doesn't have one guy on the team that's given him any kind of issue. And I said, you know, you need a guy to rabble-rouse a little bit. He goes, we might, but I love coaching these guys.
It's not a good group of kids. This is a great group of kids. Shot clock winding down, a heave and a whistle. Foul called. Winston, little hip check. And I don't know about that one. Mark Allstork will go to the free throw line. Winston's not happy.
Well, let's watch now. Was Winston pushed into him? Because there's the shot.
Yeah, he was.
Well, yep. I know that they've gone overboard this season to protect shooters until they land. That one looked like he was pushed into the offensive play.
I mean, not a violent push, but enough to where Winston's got a point. That shouldn't have been a foul on him. Allstork makes the first of 3 free throws, and that's the second foul against Cassius Winston. And he's telling Dane Fife, Tom Izzo's assistant, that's exactly what happened. Mark Allstork, who was a grad transfer, was a good player at Wright State in the Horizon League.
19 points a game. He actually started his career at Ball State, so he's a well-traveled young man throughout the Midwest.
Wright State's having a good year.
They are. I'm going to be at the Horizon League, Motor City Madness. Thank you for...
You are?
Yeah, absolutely, in that beautiful new arena.
I didn't know if I was going to watch, but now I will.
Now you will. Wright State, Northern Kentucky, UIC, Steve McLean's Flames are playing well.
Those are teams that, if you want to do a little pre-NCAA tournament scouting, watch and see, I think those have a chance to pull an upset.
And Oakland U's Greg Campy's got Kendrick Nunn, who was a former Illini player, having a sensational year.
Officials did warn Illinois about a delay of game hitting the ball after the made free throw. Langford with some swarming pressure. Tum Nairn on his senior night is going to have to play big minutes with Cassius Winston in foul trouble. Jackson dribbles through the double team, then lobs one up. What a touch pass from Nick Ward. A little ragged on the offensive end. All's forgiven when you do that.
Yes, and I don't think Michigan State recognized the zone as quickly as they could have, but they still made something out of nothing. Nice touch pass by Miles Bridges.
Everything had been from three-point range for the Spartans until that one. That was their first made two-pointer. Underneath the basket, Frazier got free and then missed it. And I do think every shot near the rim gets impacted by the shot-blocking presence of the Spartans. Ward with a foul.
You look at the lineup that's out there right now. Watch this little inside out and then nice find by Josh Langford. And when I see Tum Nairn out there as a senior, one of the things I think about is this guy started 65 games, and I mentioned earlier, started in the Final Four in 2015. A lot of experience off the bench from Tom Izzo's team.
Yeah, not many teams in the history of college basketball have had two players who started for a Final Four team coming off the bench a couple of years later. That's the scenario for the Spartans. A lob play and the catch near the rim by the Boigbadine, the freshman. By the way, Laron Black was called for that last foul. He's got 2.
That's not good. He has had a terrific season in the Big Ten. I like this kid. He's going to be good at Boigbadine.
It's a little raw right now.
That's right. Hasn't played for a long time.
Turnover.
Dave, you guys were talking about Tum Nairn. Well, earlier this week, Tom Izzo said he has done more for me than I have for him. And when I asked Tom about that, he started to tear up, saying, he was shocked. He felt emotional because of the weight of those words, saying, that shows that his respect for me has nothing to do with basketball. Our relationship is deeper than that. And talk about impact. Miles Bridges also told me he may not have returned if it weren't for Nairn.
I would describe that, Molly, as he's probably the player who scored the least amount of points for Tom Izzo, but had the greatest impact on a team. He's certainly going to be missed because of the kind of leader he's been.
Jackson 3, not this time. Nichols with the rebound. Talk to Tum about Izzo, he starts to tear up. You talk to Izzo about Tum, he starts to cry. It's an emotional group. Kipper Nichols, wide left.
Nice.
Here comes Bridges, one-on-one. Frazier got out of the way. And Bridges hit the floor. He'll go to the free throw line. By the way, big night of college basketball coming tomorrow, Wednesday. ACC Sonic Blockbuster doubleheader. Carolina, Syracuse, Orange need a big win. That would count. 7 Eastern. And then Louisville, Duke. Top 5 Duke at home at Cameron Indoor against the Cardinals, who also could use a big resume win. That one at 9 tomorrow on ESPN, on the app.
Danny Dockich will be at that Louisville-Syracuse game.
You two kind of traded. Dan, our regular partner here on Super Tuesday in the Big Ten, his son Andrew is going through senior night at Ohio State. So you were nice enough to swap games with Dan so he can be there with his son Andrew.
Yep, and I know that feeling. Both of my sons were part of senior nights, and Dan's done it twice.
He has, with the same kid.
Yeah, with the same kid. 2 different schools who happen to be the biggest rivals in college sports.
Andrew's tied an all-time record, most senior nights experienced.
The only guy to ever do it at Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah.
But what an impact he had this year on that team.
He has. Buckeyes, who were undefeated in this Big Ten for a good long while. Part of the reason why it was just looking unlikely that Michigan State was going to have a chance to win a Big Ten title this year. All right, this was just a little while ago.
Andrew is joined by his parents, Dan Dockich and Jackie White, as well as his sister, Laura Dockich.
So Laura, his sister, there with him. Jackie, his mom,
Andrew
Dan.
is working on a master's degree in coaching during his 1 year of eligibility with the Buckeyes.
And Chris Holtman, his coach, who asked him to be a part of that program, who has done a terrific job in Columbus. Lucas did everything but make it.
And Dan Andrews, another one of those idiots that wants to get into coaching.
Just kind of like you two.
Yeah, I say that affectionately, by the way.
Here's Mark Smith all the way. Smith, no good.
The Illini have missed about 3 or 4 layups at the rim.
Illinois has done several things pretty well this year. They do not make enough shots. Sometimes it can be pretty simple.
Yep, absolutely, because they play hard. They're, Brad Underwood feels like they're changing the culture.
Bridges steps back for a 3, came up short. And the rebound will go out of bounds. So that'll send us to a timeout. Spartans on senior night have an 8-point lead over Illinois.
Dan Dockich.
Love him. Love Dave Fleming, too.
We love you too, Adnan. Thank you. And keep us posted on that game. Ohio State still believes they have a chance to share the Big Ten title. They need some help. If Michigan State wins out, they got this one and 1 more left.
That's right.
The Spartans will win the Big Ten all alone. And I think it's important. We got a lot of Big Ten fans who already know this watching tonight. But if you're just a general college basketball fan, unusual year in this league, in that because they wanted to play the Big Ten tournament in New York, the whole season is moved up a week. This is the final week of the regular season of the Big Ten. It's why tonight is senior night in East Lansing. Everybody else around college basketball is going, senior night? What, they finished with a 5-game road trip? No, they only have 2 left.
How would you like to be Illinois? They played Sunday at home, here tonight, Purdue Thursday, and then at Rutgers. That's 4 games in 8 days. That's crazy.
Nichols rejected by Nick Ward.
Boy, Illinois, they're leaving a lot of loose change out there at the rim. Have not been effective making those shots, but we are talking about an elite shot blocking team at Michigan State.
Tum-Tum Nairn underneath the bucket. Did he step out of bounds? Yes, that's the 5th turnover for the Spartans. Well, if you missed it today, news from Louisville, and this, unfortunately, it probably deserves a reminder that this is a different investigation than the FBI investigation that's going on now. There was an appeal about giving up wins and including a Final Four and a national title. Today, the NCAA announced the appeal has been denied. Louisville becomes the first college basketball team to vacate an NCAA title. Painful for Cardinals fans today.
More painful for Michigan fans who played them in the finals.
Yeah. Can they hang a banner? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Nichols again close to the rim, this time a foul. Well, Seth and Jay and Adnan are going to talk about that at halftime. Huge story in college basketball. Separate investigation. Louisville, of course, is dramatically tied up with the FBI investigation that is going on right now.
Well, it's unfortunate that it happened, but the way I look at it as a former coach, you break the rules and you deal with the penalty, and there's a lot of coaches out there that are not breaking rules. One coach breaks rules, the other coach gets fired because he doesn't win enough games. Pretty simple formula. That's how I look at it.
Well, and it's one thing to vacate some wins. It's another thing to vacate a title and take the banner down, which is what Louisville's going to have to do. That hurts. Cassius Winston back in with his 2 fouls. Kenny Goins, who's played really well for Michigan State, has had to play a lot of minutes lately because of foul trouble. That's a whistle against Illinois.
Well, speaking of Kenny Goins, reminds me of the comeback on Saturday where Kenny Goins was a huge part of that incredible, historic, really, comeback. Greatest comeback in the history of the Big Ten and the 5th best comeback in college basketball history, right? Kenny Goins was a big part of that defensive effort down the stretch.
He played 23 minutes in that game. And you're right, he was on the floor for the big run. At one point, Michigan State went on a 24-0 run. Our Flipping the Switch brought to you by Boost Mobile. This is, I mean, flipping the switch, yeah, whatever happened, the Spartans would like to replicate it. They trailed by 27 in the first half. 43-16, Northwestern led that game. Biggest comeback in Big Ten history. 38-11 was the second half score. There's Winston. He played great in that game.
He sure did. And typical of Tom Izzo after the game, Chris Collins, they've really had a tough year at Northwestern. He told Chris Collins afterwards, he goes, I really am sorry for you the way your season has turned out, because coming off an amazing run last year, first time in the NCAA tournament. High hopes were expected in Evanston. It hasn't panned out that way.
Good attack by Langford, but he missed it. Out in transition, Illinois. Jordan for 3. Too strong. Wrong rebound. Jordan hustles after it and flings one up off the backboard. Bridges had his pocket picked. All Stork all the way.
Dribbling a little too high right there, Miles Bridges. You like the fact that he can handle the ball, but All Stork, the crafty veteran, with the poke away.
And the turnovers are starting to pile up for the Spartans a little bit in this first half. Bridges, that one was stuck between the basket and the backboard, between the rim and the backboard. Arrow favors Illinois.
And watch this. Boyd Bedin comes over and gets a piece of that.
Pretty good play by the freshman, who was a high school teammate of Cassius Winston in Detroit.
He is a newcomer to basketball. He's only been playing about 5 years.
Meanwhile, Bridges hearing about it from his head coach as he goes to the bench. Jaren Jackson Jr. will come back in. Illinois hanging in more than halfway through this first half, only down 4.
Opportunity for Xavier Tillman right now. 2 freshmen out there for Tom Izzo on the front line.
Who has a chance, I think, to be a good player for Michigan State.
I talked to him yesterday. He said he's gotten so much better playing against these veterans.
Nifty move by Frazier to find an opening and then bury the 3.
What you like about him is that you don't have to run any offense for him. He creates his own.
Quaid, who's been hot from the outside, misses that 3-pointer. He's not happy. He's been shooting the ball well for a long while. My buddy, Matt McQuaid.
Yes, out of Dallas, Texas, Duncanville High School.
A 7-0 run for the Illini. They could take the lead.
You look a lot like Matt McQuaid now that I think about it.
Where'd you get that from? I apologize.
Do you have the same type of shooting ability?
I don't.
I didn't think you did.
I
don't. You know, he's got a future in broadcasting. He's better looking than you.
You got a very nice, deep voice. He's going to play basketball for a while first.
That's what he wants to do.
Freshman from Florida, Trent Frazier. Nichols stumbling, rejected, and really just stuffed by Jackson. Here's McQuaid with the hustle play to get the ball back for the Spartans. Saturday, 4:15 Eastern, a game that could determine the Big 12 regular season title. Number 8 Kansas off that awesome performance last night at home against Oklahoma. Number 6 Texas Tech. Then Syracuse at Duke at Cameron Indoor, 6:15 Saturday on ESPN. Both games on the app. Joe Lunardi's got Kansas back in that 1-seed group. Top 4 team in the country, according to Joe.
Groundhog Day in the Big 12. It's Groundhog Day, heading towards a 14th title, although if Texas Tech can get Keenan Evans back reasonably healthy for Saturday, there's a really good opportunity for them to share or maybe win the title outright, because Texas Tech has had a terrific season under Chris Beard in the Big 12, but Bill Self manages to figure out the formula every season.
I mean, if you're not going to win it this year over Kansas, what year are you going to win it?
Let me tell you something. Kansas is going to be dynamite next year. Great recruiting class, 3 transfers sitting out.
Jackson, nice feed to Ward, who couldn't catch it cleanly, had it stripped away. I thought that was a good feed. Smith down the lane with the left hand. A foul against whom? Against the Spartans.
This young man, Mark Smith, is really trying to finish up his freshman year. Look at his strong move at the rim. Now, he was Mr. Basketball in Illinois this past year. A lot of people recruited him, high-level player.
Michigan State recruited him.
Yes, they did. And he hasn't played to his own expectations, but Brad Underwood keeps getting in his ear and saying, we think you're going to be a great player. And last couple games, he's getting better and better. Big performance against Nebraska Sunday night. 8 points off the bench. Tommy Green told us that they recruited him at Indiana to be a point guard. And but you saw that take right there. Had a reputation of being a good finisher at the rim.
Lucas harassing Cassius Winston everywhere he goes. Winston almost traveled. Lucas was trying to play official. How about Jaren Jackson Jr.? Oh! What a play! Wow. How many in the country can do that?
Well, he's 18 years old, and we've seen him shoot the 3. We've seen him block shots. Watch this, folks. This is 6'11", 240.
You can't do the offensive glass. You get the offensive. Yeah, you can't do that. There's over 3 guys. You gotta be smarter than that.
Dave, that is a good, positive huddle from a team that obviously has struggled this year. Brad Underwood's first year. It's a young team. About 50% of the minutes are being played by newcomers. And it's easy to get frustrated with them, but you can see that he's coaching them not only for tonight, but for the future. He likes the effort so far.
And he loves the effort on this end of the floor. You hear a lot of coaches talk about effort on defense. Jaren Jackson Jr. is just, he's awe-inspiring.
7 blocks now for the Spartans.
And Jackson can do it all. Winston off the glass.
Yeah, I'm telling you now, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Jaren Jackson could be the #1 pick. 4 months away, a lot of action ahead, but don't discount it.
It's time for the ultimate Sleep Number event on the only bed that adjusts on both sides to your ideal comfort, your Sleep Number setting. Does your bed do that? Right now, our Queen C2 mattress is only $699. Save $200. Ends Sunday. Visit sleepnumber.com for a store near you.
Now ADT can help protect your family at home and on the go. Call today and get ADT's best offer. An ADT starter kit and security camera installed free. Plus, you'll get ADT Go, the new family mobile safety app and service with any ADT security system.
Well, we've been talking a lot about this 18-year-old freshman, Jaren Jackson Jr., all the different things he can do.
Oh, yeah, this is what we mean by a unicorn. And this is why I compared him to Kristaps Porzingis. The three-point shooting, great footwork. Obviously, the defensive end is where he's been outstanding this year. And, you know, it's going to be a great draft, Dave. I really mean that. You look at DeAndre Ayton and Luka Doncic from Slovenia, Marvin Bagley. No wonder all these teams and Mark Cuban's team is tanking, right? Mark Cuban admitted today, hey, we're losing. We want a high pick. No fooling.
And there are a lot of good options, but I think Jackson has been hiding in front of our own eyes in a lot of ways this year because he plays on such a talented team. He doesn't play big minutes. The big counting numbers aren't there. He's averaging like 11 points and 6 rebounds a game.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
You know, when he goes and gets 4 points one game and then 27 in another, the NBA teams don't really care about the numbers. They're just looking at this kid as a piece of NBA silly putty, and they're looking how they're going to mold him. First of all, NBA big guys don't come into their own until they turn 25 and older usually. This kid will play his entire rookie year as a 19-year-old. Turns 19 in September, right at the start of training camp. That's scary.
So you're talking about his prime might be 2024 or something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's not going to hit his prime till he's 24, 25. Yeah. No, it's the start of his prime.
Pretty impressive. He has keyed a 7-0 run. And the shot blocking ability, that's a tough shot for LeBron Black.
It's funny you said tough shot because there's no better tough shot maker in the Big Ten than that guy. And he's had a terrific year.
Winston behind the back. Too strong. Jackson tried to tip it to somebody. He tipped it right to Illinois.
Illini in this.
They are.
Yep. Done a good job of holding the fort down.
Black for 3. Yes.
That's what he's done all season. He hurts you inside, and he certainly can stretch a defense with that three-point shooting.
I love the fact that he's on the floor with 2 fouls. Why not play him?
What do they got to lose this time of year, right?
Exactly.
I wish more coaches would figure that out. You're going to have him sit for 15, 20 minutes?
Out of bounds. We've been talking about the NBA, the draft. How about Friday, our doubleheader? Some teams that are looking toward the draft, including those Mavs, but some teams that aren't. Rockets, Wolves, 8 Eastern, Mavericks, Lakers, 10:30 Eastern, right here on ESPN on Friday, streaming on the app as well.
Yeah, you know, I haven't made up my mind exactly who's #1, but boy, was I impressed with DeAndre Ayton last week.
Yeah, you've got to see up close and personal now in 1 week. 2 of the guys who are in the conversation.
Yes.
And Miles Bridges, too. I mean, he's probably not going to go #1, but
he'll be in that top 10, 12 range. He's a lottery pick.
Tum Nairn back in the game. Jackson, shot clock winding down. Langford, can he get one off? Jackson got rid of it and almost made it. McQuaid, offensive rebound.
Yeah, and Jackson should have shot the first one.
Yeah.
He needed to recognize the clock was low.
Nairn, touch pass. Bridges 3. Yes.
This crowd is more as happy for the assist as they are for the 3 because of the senior playing in his final home game.
The 2 best buddies connecting there. Nairn to Bridges.
Tom Izzo told us today from the time Bridges and Josh Langford walked on this campus, those 3 guys have been the 3 Musketeers.
That one. Jackson didn't block it. Now Boyd Badine has him in an arm lock.
That was good. Left-hand pass, one hand.
Langford, what a move! Smith. With Jackson, who switched on him, he can guard perimeter players.
He will have to at the next level. He'll do it well.
Allstort. Frazier heaves and makes it.
Oh, I'll tell you, they are. Look, give them credit, the Illini. The crowd is into this. They know what's at stake, but Brad Underwood's team has come out and played with moxie on the offensive end. Well, one guy that's really got to get going, and he has tonight, Josh Langford. One of those sophomores who's combined for 60% of Tom Izzo's points. But Trent Frazier's been impressive now. Runner-up Mr. Basketball in the state of Florida. Got a chance to play in a rebuilding year for Brad Underwood, and he's going to be a good player, Dave.
I mean, he was a little kid in Florida, and when Brad Underwood was at Stephen F. Austin, he recruited him all the way back then. And got better and better. Jackson misses the front end, which is rare. He's a very good free throw shooting big man. Catch and shoot 3. That one no good. Here comes Michigan State trying to get out and run. It is kind of nice, huh? Langford, McDonald's All-American. He's about Michigan State's 5th or 6th best player.
You know, when he committed to Michigan State, I thought he would be the perfect Tom Izzo 4-year guy. Toughness. Team guy. At times he's been very good offensively, but he's not a weapon right now. He will be in the future, next 2 years.
Emotion of senior night, a chance for a Big Ten championship for the Spartans on their home floor, and yet Illinois is hanging in this game.
Nice cut.
What a pass.
Yep.
Foul. So Illinois to the free throw line, a chance to cut into that 4-point lead when we come back.
That's all it is to add a line.
With unlimited gigs.
Well then.
Yes, it is, Seth. They turned it over quite a bit in that first meeting. And on the other hand, where they did take advantage of that pressure defense, Miles Bridges had 31 and a lot of back cuts. Not as many back cuts tonight from Michigan State. You know what? I like the fact that Seth is paying attention to the game, Dave.
He doesn't just
mail it in
the studio and tweet and drink coffee. And he's watching the game.
You know, Jay's eating the bonbons. He's checking the different clothing catalogs.
There are clothing catalogs?
Oh,
I didn't know there were those things anymore.
Yeah, well, the way you're dressed.
Yeah, somebody just handed me these. Boyd at the free throw line, missed the first. Makes the second. He's the kid who was the high school teammate of Cassius Winston, who was back on the bench with 2 fouls. Tum Nairn in the game and some pressure from Illinois.
Yep. Just what Seth Greenberg talked about.
Goins scores.
That's how you attack pressure. Don't set up, but if you got the advantage at the other end, get a 2-on-1.
And that's what Coach Greenberg is asking, right? Does Michigan State have enough guys who can attack, dribble, create for somebody else? That time it was Langford.
Yeah, and they moved the ball well against full court pressure, which you liked.
Allstort against Goins on the switch. Little runner, no good. Boyd Medina is playing hard. He is working hard. That's a jump ball. Let's send it over to Molly McGrath.
Yeah, Dave, in that last time out, Michigan State's assistant coach Dane Fife told me, Illinois is playing very physical. They're taking us out of what we like to do. This is a better team than we saw last month. Overall, he's happy with his team's shot collection when they're taking care of the ball, but to battle that physicality, they want to press their wings to rebound and get the ball offensively.
That's a great point, Molly. When I talked to Tom Izzo today about Illinois, he said they pressure us in the half court more than any other team in the Big Ten. And that's a compliment. And I think as Brad Underwood adds more talent to this young team, you're going to see that pressure be really effective over the course of an entire conference season.
Yeah, I agree. And this is a team that's already shallow in terms of scholarship numbers. They're banged up as well. So they deserve some credit for the way they're playing here tonight. Aaron Jordan gets it back from Smith. Oh, whistle away from the ball. And part of what I'm talking about, DeMonte Williams banged up. He's going to be a good player. There's Michael Finke, who's been a starter for a chunk of the year, has played a lot of minutes over the years for Illinois. He is still feeling the effects of a concussion. This is his 4th consecutive miss game. Cleared to begin working out lightly today. So that's a good sign. They're hoping maybe get him back for the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, he's he's one of those guys that can stretch the defense, knock some shots down, and by the way, he's working on his masters. Not bad. Local guy, Champaign kid.
A brick free throw from Trent Frazier, who can get a lot better at that. Not a great free throw shooter, does so many things well.
Isn't that amazing sometimes when a guy can be such a great scorer, in his case, make tough shots and yet can't make the easy ones with regularity?
Nick Ward wants the ball.
In that zone, but they pressure in that zone. It's not just a summer league zone.
Foul against the Illini. So it'll be Kenny Goins, the junior from Troy, Michigan, who's going to the free throw line. Originally a walk-on, and we mentioned it earlier in this first half. He has played some big minutes, played 30 minutes in the win here on this court. Game of the year maybe in the Big Ten Conference against Purdue. 23 minutes, very important minutes in the comeback against Northwestern.
Had to play a lot last year because of the injuries to Gavin Schilling and Ben Carter.
He earns the second free throw. They're the 2 seniors who started this game along with Tum Nairn. Haven't played a lot so far tonight other than the first 3 minutes. Schilling in particular, another guy who has a chance Foul trouble in the NCAA tournament, Big Ten championship game, wherever. I mean, he could be a big factor still for the Spartans.
No, I agree. He's got the experience, the size, and you know how the tournament is. You mentioned foul trouble. Different officials you're not used to.
Well, last year, Nick Ward got called for a foul on a jump ball in the tournament. 1 second into a game, he had a foul. Minute and a half to go in the first half in East Lansing. Frazier with McQuaid right in his face, drills it.
But he can't make a free throw.
How does that happen?
That's exactly what we talked about. Tough shots and impressive.
That is big time. McQuaid just barely got it across. They are being harassed.
Yes, that is the pressure we're talking about.
Goins, Ward was fouled posting up.
Now, I mentioned this earlier. You know, they have a really nice offense off that high post, but sometimes it's not the plays, it's the player. And there's a good example.
He shoots 63% from the free throw line. Not horrendous.
No, it's not. But you would think a guy that could make those kind of shots, you know, would make more free throws. Chuck Daly used to say, what will the player do when the play breaks down? Because the play will break down against good defense. And then you got to have a guy that can just go get his own. And Trent Frazier's proven that so far that he can.
And Chuck Daly had a few of those.
He did. Isaiah Thomas, actually not too far from here.
Down the road.
Isaiah Thomas, Vinnie Johnson, Joe Dumars. I'm surprised he didn't go 2 for 1 here.
Yeah, me too. Brad Underwood likes to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's an aggressive coach. Michigan State with a win, clinching a share of the Big Ten title. And they haven't won one since 2012. Here's Frazier again. Can a player make a play? Not this time. But offensive rebound. Now Illinois really will want to stall.
And McQuaid did a good job defensively. I want you to watch this. If Frazier keeps the ball and he can't get by McQuaid, he's going to go through his legs to freeze McQuaid and then shoot the 3. But after that jump shot, I think he's going to try to use a screen and get to the rim.
He uses a screen, hits a runner going to the basket, and Boygbedin scores. 6 seconds, 5 seconds. McQuaid, can he get a shot off? He does, and it comes up short. That is an impressive half by Illinois. With a lot of things going wrong for the Illini, a lot of things stacked against them. Senior night, the emotion of Tum Tum Nairn and Miles Bridges, a championship on the line, and yet just a 3-point lead for Tom Izzo and the Spartans. Let's go over to Molly.
Thank you, Dave. Coach, Illinois bringing a lot of pressure. How do you battle their physicality?
Well, I thought we did an average job early, but then when Winston got in foul trouble, you know, that created some problems. I thought for Bridges, Langford, and Tum, you know, those guys are best friends, and I felt like Tum played at an energy level too high. Didn't take care of the ball, and that's why they gave a couple layups up.
Yeah, a lot of turnovers early. What do you need to see differently on your offense?
Well, we had 7 turnovers, which is a lot, but not a ton, and yet our offense wasn't very good because we didn't have the right guys in there a little bit. We got to get Winston in the game a little bit more against this pressure. He can shoot, and if we get him in the game, we'll be better.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Molly. So at halftime, not a blowout. This is a game. Michigan State 38-35. Adnan, Jay, and Seth in studio after this. It's 38-35. They lead Illinois. Dave Fleming, Fran Fraschilla back here in East Lansing. I was really impressed with the way Illinois, it's not been a great year for the Illini, the way they fought on a very emotional night for the Spartans.
They play really hard. It's exactly what we expected defensively, but we didn't expect them to shoot threes at the rate they are. 6 of 11 tonight from behind the arc. This is a team that shoots about 30% from behind the arc. The other thing I loved, they did not turn the ball over. Only 2 in the first half.
All right, let's send it over to Molly McGrath. Molly?
Well, Dave, before the game, Illinois head coach Brad Underwood told me this game needs to be a fight. We have to smack them in the mouth. And this game is crucial for our identity. So at the half, he was happy with their fight. He said, we're competing, we're keeping ourselves in this game, but we're down on the boards. And defensively, we've been average, especially in the post. He wants to focus, especially defensively, on Nick Ward. He knows that Michigan State is going to try to get him going in this second half.
Yeah, and the other thing I like is Michigan State, traditionally not a team that turns you over. Illinois only got 2 turnovers, and they got 6 more field goals because of that number.
Well, John Gassaway, our colleague today, had a piece about Michigan State's turnover. They turn it over a lot on offense, relatively speaking. They don't turn teams over on defense. Is that a problem that could derail their season, was sort of the question hanging out there?
No, defensively, the reason they don't turn you over is because they don't want to extend their defense because they know they've got great shot blocking and defensive rebounding. So they pack it in inside the three, forced to beat you over the top, and they're not going to turn you over the way Illinois does with their pressure half-court man.
That was a quick whistle, by the way, to start the second half.
That's a good piece of preventive officiating. Blow the whistle early, make sure the players understand.
Langford goes by Frazier, draws a foul. So that's 2 fouls in the first 20 seconds or so of this second half against the Illini. It's the second one against Trent Frazier, whom it's pretty obvious Illinois has a hard time when he's not on the floor.
Well, you think of the great history of Illinois basketball. Right now, he is the 5th leading freshman scorer in that great program's history. That tells you something.
20 free throws made in a row, by the way, for Joshua Langford. Blackjack.
Pretty good, yeah. Is that 21?
Yeah. That's why I said that.
Oh, okay.
5-point lead for the Spartans.
Is that 21 aces? Because that's one in a row 21 times or something like that.
We'll stick to hoops. Laron Black. Illinois played so well in the first half with Black in a lot of foul trouble. He misses his first shot attempt here in the second half. Coming off a tremendous game against Nebraska. Langford's been very active. He's one of the better mid-range jump shooters in the country.
Oh, that's an offensive foul. All-Star just popped him in the chest on the drive.
Jackson went up for the rebound. Winston, Langford, Ward running the floor. The big man to the free throw line. This is what you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, Mark All-Star, take a look at his left arm now. Boom, in the chops. Officials, I don't know.
Yeah, the first time these two teams met, Cassius Winston himself got called for 4 of those, didn't he? Or some version of that.
That's right. Those 27 turnovers, Tom Izzo told us Nairn and Winston couldn't get the defense off them.
And a lot of those push-off, maybe it was the 2 of them combined contributed to 4 of those. But this time, no whistle. Ward makes that free throw, 42-35. A chance for a share of the Big Ten title for the Spartans with a win tonight on senior night in East Lansing. The 3 seniors started the game. They don't start the second half. Frazier draws another foul. And you heard Tom Izzo talk to Molly going into halftime about they needed Winston on the floor. That's another personal against him. And at least for the moment, he'll be coming out with his 3rd foul.
And you mentioned it earlier. He was absolutely brilliant in that incredible comeback Saturday. And last 11 games, he's been red hot from behind the arc, shooting 57%.
Winston against Northwestern, 17 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Against Purdue, he had 10, 7 rebounds, 10 assists. He could have had triple doubles in both of those games. Aaron Jordan on the perimeter, over to Frazier, shot clock at 5. Frazier to the basket. Jackson was there to block the shot, and now a foul against the Illini, and that is not a smart foul for Laron Black. He's going for the offensive rebound. That's something that Brad Underwood preaches, but the Spartans had it. After that, just get back on defense.
Exactly, especially because he now is in foul trouble.
Yeah, makes it especially important, and looks like he's going to come out of the game.
Well, there's that precocious freshman getting to the rim, and then, of course, the other precocious freshman with the 7'6" wingspan on the block. And that's his 4th block tonight. You mentioned earlier how prolific he is. He blocks 15% of an opponent's shots in the half court.
That's amazing.
Yep.
His next block will be number 100 on the season. Schilling, the senior. There's a whistle and a foul against Illinois. And Brad Underwood is right in the face of Kipper Nichols. Man, is he hot with his player. And Illinois takes a timeout, maybe for Brad to yell a little more. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, listen up. We're here because we deserve.
And on, and obviously this is a few seconds delayed as the players come back on the court. But just so you believe us, that, I mean, he spent the entire huddle like this.
Yeah, and he's trying to change, in his mind, a culture. And toughness is what he is about. There's no question. You can only do this only a handful of times a season. But he's using this opportunity in a game at Michigan State to let his team know we punched him in the mouth in the first half, and now we're wilting. And you can overdo it. You can overdo it. Can't do it too often anymore.
Fifth block for Jaren Jackson Jr.
Well, Dave, I was in the line of fire right there listening to Brad Underwood yelling at his team. He said, we talked about foul trouble at halftime. You're better than that. You need to fight smarter. He was also trying to fire up his team, telling them that they were sleepwalking through those first few minutes of the second half. It's a great point, Molly, because I've talked about this a lot. The first 3 minutes of the second half, you almost have to practice it in practice. They were so good in the first half. You got to come out with the same fire and energy and toughness. And they did not do that, and he was making his point, I would say clearly, Dave.
I would agree with that. Miles Bridges, meanwhile, over to Langford, who I think is playing a really nice all-around game. He missed that shot. That'll be a whistle and a foul against Illinois. Another one. So keep it on this end of the floor for the Spartans, who now lead by 9. We didn't even show you all of it. I'm not saying that to overemphasize it, but just at every moment we thought, well, okay, now he's going to just draw up some plays.
Yeah.
He got back to that intensity.
Well, he made the point to us that he likes his team, but they have to be tougher. And there was a play in the Nebraska game. By the way, 15,500 at State Farm Arena Sunday night. Think about that. How good that Illinois fan base is. There was a play in that game that he felt turned it around when seemingly all 5 of his players were on the floor for a loose ball. And he credited that play with turning the game around. And that's what he's trying to get to. And there's a talent deficit here. So there can't be an effort deficit. I always felt the hardest thing as a coach, I used to tell my guys, I can't coach effort and basketball. If you give me the effort, I can coach basketball. That's what he's trying to do.
Langford will go to the free throw line. By the way, we heard Molly say that he was talking about fouls and being smart about fouls. We are barely 3 minutes into the second half. Michigan State is in the bonus. That is the 7th foul called against Illinois in these first 3+ minutes. Michigan State's been called for 1. And since the timeout and that huddle, 2 more against the Illini. Langford misses the first of 2. And I think this is the message being delivered. What did we just talk about?
Yeah, it's an ongoing process. Kipper Nichols is a sophomore with a lot of offensive talent. But rarely can you win in a league like this and not have defensive intensity, which we've seen a lot tonight from this Illini team.
Black back in the game with his 3 fouls. 4 straight empty trips to start the half on offense for the Illini. They could use some points. Lucas, tough shot, no good. Rebound goes to Langford. Here's Jackson back to the basket. He does have an array of moves.
Yes, he does. That left hand is natural. He is, I was going to say amphibious, but he can use both hands. He is ambidextrous around the rim. He has the entire package. The only thing he's missing is a couple more birth dates.
He is just 18 and just turned 18 this fall. Now foul against the Spartans. So that will send us to a timeout. This kid, what an impressive talent. Jaren Jackson Jr. and the Spartans.
North Carolina, Syracuse at 7, Louisville, Duke at 9. Wednesday on ESPN.
That's all it is to add.
Just sort of teased it in our first half. We were talking a lot about Jaren Jackson, who's got 8 points, 3 rebounds, has blocked a ton of shots, affected a bunch of others, about the possibility of going #1 overall. You also sort of teased the possibility, maybe, could be. Is there any chance he returns for his sophomore year?
Well, it's unlikely, but remember, Dad was an NBA player. Mom is extremely familiar with the league. She's involved with the WNBA, and they know the lifestyle of a 19-year-old in the NBA. And you're going to have to weigh that against the fact that you take a chance on injuries in his sophomore year, but a guy back in 1979 stayed for a second year. His name was Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Miles Bridges did it last year. Look, the high likelihood is he's going in the top 3 or 4, and he will come out, but it wouldn't shock me if he stayed for the reasons I mentioned.
Spent his high school years in the state of Indiana. Came to Michigan State here for his freshman season. And you mentioned Dad, Jaren Sr. He played 13 years in the NBA, played at Georgetown.
You know, the thing that will overwhelm him if he's in the league next year is physical play.
Yeah.
But he is the modern NBA 5-man because of his versatility. The league is all about shooting right now. And to find a guy like this that does it at both ends is difficult.
And he has put on 25 pounds of muscle in a half a year being here on campus. But still, compared to the grown men at the NBA level, you're right. Langford 3, good.
Terrific drive and dish by Miles Bridges, and one of those advantages that he has this year, playing away from the basket.
The second half defense, this is becoming a trend for the Spartans. After Northwestern put 49 on them in the first half this weekend, they got 11 total in the second half. So far, Illinois scored a point in 5+ minutes of this second half.
It's not a trend Tom Izzo wants to keep up.
Correct. He'd like it to be both halves.
Exactly.
Bridges with the right hand. Ambidextrous for Miles Bridges.
He's amphibious. He's a good swimmer. Did you know that?
Jaren Jackson was a great swimmer. That is a true story. Jaren Jackson was
I told you that.
Terrific high school
I told you he was
swimmer.
amphibious.
He's both. He commits a foul. That's hard for him. He has been in too much foul trouble this year. Going for the steal. By the way, ACC Sonic blockbuster doubleheader tomorrow, Wednesday. Number 10 North Carolina on the road at Syracuse. That should be a real competitive game. Louisville Duke at Cameron Indoor. 5th-ranked Blue Devils at home against the Cardinals. Tomorrow at 9, both games on ESPN and the ESPN app. Jackson commits his 3rd foul and comes out.
What Jaren Jackson hasn't learned this year is just stick your hand straight up and people are not going to score over you.
Yeah. He's got 5 blocks already in this game. Smith to the bucket, gets fouled by McQuaid. Sometimes you start to see a huge foul discrepancy and the fouls start to even out. Bob Huggins, if he were watching, would be thinking, no, that doesn't always happen.
No, foul's a foul.
Yeah.
Call it in the first minute, last minute.
Frazier, nice bounce pass, and Nichols missed the dunk. My goodness. McQuaid gave it up, gets it back. Good hustle by Lucas. Langford pull up. That one was short all the way. Illinois dodged a bullet there. Tijon Lucas takes it all the way.
Nice drive. Good kick ahead by LeRon Black. Lucas, good solid player. Not as flashy as Frazier, but they're playing together right now on the top of that zone.
That's the first shot that Illinois has made in the second half. Another good closeout on McQuaid. Langford will shoot again. Schilling, what a tip. On his senior night, Gavin Schilling doing a nice job. Guarding Illinois' best player, Black.
That's that tough shot-making ability I told you about. Gavin Schilling played really good defense, but He's done that all year, Black, the fourth-year junior. You know, he is in grad school as well as Mike Finke, and I sure hope those guys come back next year. They can actually leave and go somewhere else, but I would think with what Brad Underwood is building, both of these guys are going to be keys next year.
Coins lines one up, not this time. It's not the most offensive lineup on the floor for Michigan State. Frazier 3 in transition, and they need those shots to go down. Illinois does. A lot of them went down in the first half. Not a lot of shots going down since halftime. Still just a 12-point game.
The Illini have not given up the backdoor cuts that they gave up in that first meeting.
I think overall they've played pretty good defense. Nairn missed that shot. Long rebound, tip out by Schilling. A full 30 seconds again for the Spartans. Kevin Schilling, very interesting background. Born in Germany, grew up in France, speaks 3 languages, smart kid. Nairn has to call a timeout. And that'll send us to a break.
Well, Illinois, it's been some good, some bad tonight. Brad Underwood not always liking the effort. Missed dunk, you got to convert those, but Ron Black, he'll be on an all Big Ten team, first or second, scoring down low.
Crean's wedding and the wedding party. Of course, he was a Tom Izzo assistant. Izzo in the pic. You're there. John Harbaugh, Jim Christian, BC coach, Kevin O'Neill, longtime head coach. What a group.
Great group. Great memories. I've known Tom Izzo for 37 years, so that goes back beyond that picture. I got to know him in 1980. We were young assistant coaches at the Division II level. And he's been
where were you and where was he in 1980?
He was at Northern Michigan University. I was at New York Tech. We played him in a Division II quarterfinal game. We won. You remember Curtis Sumter that played at Villanova?
Yeah.
His father, Kurt Sumter, hit a shot to send us to the Final Four. And Tommy Crean's been a dear friend. You know, you see the Harbaugh brothers. Yes, Jim was as crazy as ever back then. I've got a sunburn.
Of course, married their sister.
That's right. Of course, Jack was the patriarch of the family. Jack Harbaugh was the assistant coach to Bo. He is not pictured. The little redhead in the corner. The son of Greg Madison, longtime Michigan coach and Notre Dame coach. I think at University of Florida. And Brian now, after a NFL career. He was a 4-year NFL player, lineman, former Iowa Hawkeye, now coaching high school football up at Mishawaka Penn High School.
A pretty distinguished group in that wedding party from all those years. Sorry, Brian.
Sorry,
we didn't get your name on the picture.
But Tom Izzo's been a friend, and he'll always be a friend. He has not changed. He is salt of the earth. He's a Yooper from the Upper Peninsula.
Foul against Nick Ward. Tom Crean, I believe he is calling the game that is on ESPN2 as of this moment in Waco, Baylor and West Virginia. Is that true?
That is true. Yep. He was driving down there last night.
Tom, who's done a great job for us with ESPN this year.
He's been outstanding, and he's going to be a great coach again shortly, I guarantee you. Had great success at Marquette and Indiana. And I believe had they not had a spate of injuries last year, would have been back in the NCAA tournament, he'd still be coaching there.
Illinois trying to hang around on a night where Michigan State, honoring 3 seniors with a win, could clinch at least a share of Big Ten title. The freshman Boyd Bedeen, not a good free throw shooter. Devontae Williams, son of Frank Williams, Illinois great in the game for the first time.
Yeah, he's been injured lately, but he's given him good energy minutes this year. Dad was a heck of a player and, of course, played with the New York Knicks. Only a freshman and, of course, out of Peoria, Illinois, right?
Yeah.
So many great ones out of there.
Bridges pulls up, way too strong. And Tom Izzo talking to us going to halftime, kind of referenced the fact that he thought maybe Miles a little overamped for this game tonight.
Well, he's being guarded by guards, and that's just not going to happen at the NBA level. And I think he's better as a power forward.
McQuaid, no. Well, his shot has not been falling tonight like it has been recently. Frazier right through the legs.
Just not a good look by the freshman. And we mentioned that crazy schedule. Of course, a great win Sunday night for the Illini over Nebraska. Tonight, they have to host Purdue on Thursday. Then they have to go to New Jersey Sunday. And they got permission from the NCAA to stay in New York. They're going to play Rutgers in New Jersey, and they're going to stay and play their opening round game in the Big Ten tournament the following Wednesday at Madison Square Garden.
Cassius Winston back in. That is, part of it is the Big Ten scrunching everything together this year because the tournament is being played a week earlier than usual.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, that's not good for the health of the players. Trust me.
McQuaid, can he make one? Still off. Long rebound, tapped out. Lucas dives for it and saves it. A lot of good looks for Matt McQuaid. Here's Nichols for three off the front iron.
Well, Illini have gone cold. I think their defense has been pretty solid, but they have not made the shots they made in the first half.
Frazier for three, way off. They've missed their last five. They missed their first 6 or 7 of the half. They just have not been making shots, shooting 17% since halftime. Lob, Goins finishes. He's not the guy you think of when you think high flyers. Pretty nicely done. That ball tipped to Nichols with the left hand.
Oh, they got the run out.
Xavier Tillman.
That's a guy. Keep an eye on him. Tom Izzo was singing his praise yesterday. Only a freshman out of Grand Rapids.
There's Nichols. No. How many times over the years the big man running straight down the floor for Tom Izzo? Goins did it that time, but they just couldn't quite get him the ball.
Well, and last year, Miles Bridges at the 4 spot was doing that, and now he's playing on the perimeter, being guarded by a 6'4" guy.
Nice look from Winston. The three. Eight minutes away from these fans celebrating a Big Ten championship. Can Michigan State finish the deal?
You're a brave man, Mr. Stevens. Your testimony will save lives.
Here on ESPN. Dave, back to you.
All right, thanks, Adnan. That is a big game for Kentucky. Big game on both sides. How about the Michigan State defense? 11 more blocks. They have dominated the second half, and that is a trend.
It is a good trend because, folks, in the last 2 second halves, including Saturday's miraculous comeback, they are holding their opponents to 6 of 41 from the field. That's pretty good. It must be a heck of a halftime speech.
And the fans here in East Lansing are ready to celebrate. Under 8 to go to clinch a share of the Big Ten title. In a year where Michigan State was a big favorite, Black against the shot blocker, and Jaren Jackson altered another one. And the Spartans were the big favorite coming into the year. Then, even as recently as a couple weeks ago, it just didn't look like they were going to be able to catch Purdue, and maybe both Purdue and Ohio State. And now the Spartans are on the cusp of another league championship. Sports Center after Kentucky, Arkansas. Linda Cohn and John Anderson are getting ready for the show. Anthony Davis is going to talk about Kentucky, about life without Boogie Cousins, Joe Madden and his World Series plan, spring training getting underway. And Steve Levy and Barry Melrose is going to talk some NHL and I'm guessing hair. Why would Mike Gundy be a part of that segment?
I like it.
If not for the mullet.
And who would be better than Barry Melrose, right?
The two of them
have
arguably the two best mullets in sports. So we'll see. 20-point lead now for Michigan State, just dominating Illinois in the second half. This is a 3-point game at halftime.
Tough shot.
Black.
That's what he does. He's playing with 4 fouls as well. Tough shot maker, Ron Black.
Now a steal. Frazier goes by Jackson and gets fouled by Jaren Jackson. It gives us a moment to take a look at planning for success, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. This is what we're talking about with the Big Ten Conference. The bottom of the league is, I think, unquestionably down. The top of the league is very strong. Purdue, Ohio State put up tough fights, but it looks to me like Michigan State is going to take care of the conference this year.
Let me tell you what I think is really advantageous. Purdue looks like they got tired down the stretch. Okay. Obviously, Ohio State's had a great year. They looked a little bit tired. This new concept of playing the Big Ten tournament a week earlier, we've seen this with Gonzaga. There's no proof either way that having a tournament a week earlier than normal is beneficial one-loss wise, but you can't tell me that resting those bodies won't help all 3 of those teams.
I mean, just think about the regular Big Ten tournament or any of the top conference tournaments where you finish either on the Saturday or on Selection Sunday. You find out where you're going to go. You start your prep work right away. You travel 2 days later, and you're playing your game. These teams in the Big Ten, no matter how far in the conference tournament they go, they will have that full championship week to get rested and healthy.
I think it's going to help the Boilermakers more than either of the other 2 at the top.
Miles Bridges couldn't spin it in. Been a tough shooting night for him. Tillman fighting. Here's Winston for 3. Yes.
These are good minutes for Tillman.
In case the Spartans needed another guy.
They'll need him next year. There's going to be some attrition.
Well, you figure Cassius Winston coming back, Nick Ward likely coming back. You'll have Tillman, you'll have Langford. There will still be a ton of talent here. But this is probably the final home game, not just for the 3 seniors, but for Miles Bridges, for Jaren Jackson Jr. Last chance for these fans to savor 2 really, really talented Spartans.
And, you know, Tom Izzo told us today, and I know he said it 1,000 times since last June, he didn't think Miles Bridges should come back. He felt guilty about him choosing to come back. But Miles Bridges was hurt for about half of last season. He didn't feel like he left his mark on this program. And he is now 6 minutes away from doing what he set out to do when he chose to come here and be a Spartan. Among other things, win a Big Ten title.
Didn't do it last year. Spartans haven't done it since 2012, which seems impossible. They've been to a Final Four since then. But for a team that is so used to championship caliber play, it bugs Tom Izzo and the people around here. How about that move by Winston, and he'll hit another one. Man, is he good.
You know, he might be the key to a long NCAA run. Taking care of the ball and making those threes could be absolutely critical for the Spartan team.
Black challenged by Tillman. There's another one for LaRon
Tough
Black.
shot maker.
He is.
He's as good a tough shot maker as I've seen all year. Got a chance to watch a lot of Illinois tape the last couple days. He's really good at that.
Tillman, nice catch with a foul. Xavier Tillman, we've been talking about him, but Cassius Winston.
Yeah, he's important. Last year, he really, I thought, had a up and down season. This year, he's been more consistent. He's shooting the ball extremely well as of late. And, you know, it kind of takes me back to Tum Nairn again, because Tum, we mentioned 65 starts, but it's almost like you draft a great quarterback and you have a veteran quarterback that checks his ego at the door and says, I'm going to help this guy grow up. And that's what Tom has done. And he's back in the game now because he's getting close to getting that curtain call.
I think that could be what Tom Izzo was telling Winston. Hey, you're not done for the day. We're going to get you back in there and let Tum Tum get his big ovation at some point. Ron Black to the free throw line. They list him at 6'7". He looks 6'5". I mean, he's not.
He's shrunk.
A big dude.
When he was in high school, I think he was 6'8".
And yet, so productive.
Yes, out of Memphis, Tennessee.
And this is a good big man conference. You got the kids here in East Lansing. You got the big men in West Lafayette with Purdue. The young big men in this league. Luka Garza for Iowa's had a really good freshman year. Caleb Wesson for Ohio State. Going to be a tremendous player for the Buckeyes.
Watch his dad play. I coached at Ohio State right after Big Keith left. He was a solid player. His son, frankly, is a better player. I think he's going to be a really good. Keith was a good player. Don't get me wrong, Keith. You were good. I like your son. Your son's got a lot of potential. Yeah, I was at the Michigan State game where they got thrashed in Columbus. And Keita Bates-Diop, have they not slid off? I think he's a first-team All-American, but, I think, and he'll be the player of the year in this league, by the way.
Bridges hits a three. There's a pretty good argument for Keita Bates-Diop player of the year nationally.
Yeah, I agree. Jalen Brunson's been great. He's my favorite right now, but
back to the free throw line for LaRon Black. And Trae Young still certainly in the conversation despite his recent struggles. Marvin Bagley having a great year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll see Oklahoma the last 3 games of their regular season. They're in danger of missing the tournament, but they do have 2 of the last 3 at home.
First one good. Oh.
Yep, that's inadvertent to me, or he is really crafty.
Yeah,
I think he was just trying. He's been getting his shot blocked a little bit, but I'm impressed with him. He'll be a terrific player next season.
Well, he would be getting consideration. If Illinois were having a better year, he'd be a first-team All-Big Ten kind of player based on his performance. He's not going to be. And you got a lot of high-end talent in this league this year.
That's good harassment right there. And these guys are still playing hard, Dave.
Tum Tum for 3, short. The fans here really, really, really wanted that one to go in. Here's Black. Not that time. McQuaid has not scored. He hasn't made a shot in this game. Bridges will go to the free throw line. Final 3:44 coming from East Lansing. You won't want to miss it. We'll be back right after this.
ESPN's exclusive presentation.
A lot to say. Kentucky, Arkansas coming up 9 minutes from now. Flem?
Exactly. Like father, like son.
A Dockage with a lot to say. That's a novel concept.
Oh, boy. Well, the Michigan State seniors will be honored at the end of this one. 3:44 left in the home careers of Gavin Schilling, Ben Carter, Tum Tum Nairn. And maybe 3:44 away from hanging a banner. We don't know what their plans are.
Well, Dave, in that last time out, Tom Izzo was not focused on that Big Ten championship the team is looking for. Instead, his message was, don't mess up senior night. You saw that they took Tum Tum Nairn out. He said they're going to press, let's put our ball handlers back in. Cassius Winston's in there. And then before the game is over, they're going to give Tum Tum Nairn his moment to kiss Sparty. So that's already being planned in the huddle right there, guys.
Okay. You got to plan on a few different fronts on senior night.
That wasn't the plan at halftime. Halftime, the plan was just win. But second half has been all Sparty. Great defense.
More good defense there from Schilling. Winston,
Senior.
both Winston and Bridges were laughing. Winston took the rebound away from Miles Bridges.
Dave, I hated senior night, and not because I wasn't going to miss my seniors.
Wow, Bridges way up there. Got fouled.
I didn't. I hated it because the emotion is so high. Sometimes you don't play. You just don't play well.
Well, Tum Tum's going to come in along with Ben Carter. Can you imagine Tum Tum Nairn grew up in Nassau, Bahamas, was 13 years old. 13 years old when he left his family and came to the United States to go to school to pursue a basketball career. The courage that took, first in Florida, then in Wichita, Kansas, then to East Lansing. You got Ben Carter, a guy who's blown out his knee 2 different times, including his first day of practice as a part of this program last year, missed the entire year.
Well, remember this, Tum Tum Nairn was plan C for Tom Izzo. They tried to get Tyus Jones, who went to Duke. They thought they had Tyler Ulis, who had Michigan State in his family. He went to Kentucky. And although Tum Tum didn't have the career those two guys had, he is going to leave an indelible mark on this program and Tom Izzo.
I bet you that Tom Izzo is happy that it turned out this way. As great as those other 2 players are, having this kid around for 4 years, I want you to make your point again.
Yeah.
That you said in the first half, the player who has scored the fewest points.
But had the greatest impact on Tom Izzo's program during that era. To the point where, as Molly mentioned earlier, and Tom said this today, Molly reiterated it, he thinks that one of the reasons Miles Bridges stayed for his sophomore year is because he wanted to play another year with Tom. Now, there were other factors, okay? But these guys are thick as thieves. And the ancillary effect of Miles staying is he's going to win a Big Ten title. I knew I'd do that once tonight.
Yeah, just once.
Yeah.
In and out of bounds off of Illinois. And Langford's coming in. Let's just make sure he's not replacing one of the seniors. Well, he's coming in for Schilling. Now, I don't know that is the final tie. Izzo saying, stay close. We're going to get you back in. So Langford in just momentarily. Carter and Tum Tum Nairn on the floor. Both Schilling and Carter missed last year with knee injuries, so got an extra year. And Gavin Schilling, whose dad was a professional handball player.
It's a great sport in Germany.
It's a big-time sport there. Carter, whose family, big basketball family, he was born in Tel Aviv, Israel. I see some pro basketball for both those guys. How about Carter on senior night? A little too strong. Final 2+ minutes here with Kentucky, Arkansas following us in the SEC. Trent Frazier from the baseline. Speaking of a kid who's going to have a big-time career.
Yep, quieter second half, but we saw the fireworks in the first half. They got to get this ball in.
They do, finally. Trying to get Carter a touch down low. They do. He didn't shoot it. How about Langford? He'll shoot it and make it.
Great ball movement. Started with Carter. Tom Izzo's got to get Schilling back in.
Yeah, as soon as they get the ball, he'll be calling a timeout, I think. Frazier, too strong. Rebound, controlled by the Spartans, and he wants the timeout.
Yep.
So he will take a timeout.
This is what we call a rolling timeout. That's simply designed to sub and.
Miles Bridges, that may be the final time he walks off this court.
You know, I'm excited. Michigan State's obviously going to win, but When you do win a senior night game and you realize the sweat equity that's been put into this program by the 3 seniors, and particularly the 2 that took them to a Final Four were a part of that in 15. This next 110, I know you can flip the channel, but you need to stay with us because this is going to be fun. This is what coaching's all about. Tom Izzo has had a tough year, but he is a tremendous mentor, and you're going to see real emotion here the next minute 10. And I'm so happy for him and his seniors.
And for Miles. I mean, Miles Bridges, 2 years here will never be forgotten.
No doubt about it. He came back like magic came back.
McQuaid finally does shoot it. I think Tom Izzo wants a foul here. McQuaid will foul. So now here we go. Honoring 3 kids who gave, as you said, a lot of sweat to the folks here in East Lansing.
If you play at Michigan State, you will sweat. You will sweat a lot.
Here's the first one. And it's going to be Gavin Schilling.
This is cool.
Kind of in the spirit of the Spartans, might as well do a push-up while you're following in on the tradition as well. All right, they need another foul. All right, here's number 2. Be Ben Carter's turn. Save the most emotional for last, I think. Got to shoot one of the free throws first. First practice at Michigan State, tore up his knee. A grueling year of rehab, a year as mostly a practice player this year. And still, he gets his moment too. And if we get a make here, come on, DeMonte. Yes. Now Tum Nairn's turn. And Tom Izzo's going to have a tough time.
Tom's going to be crying, I guarantee he is. Yep. It's hard to explain what this kid has meant to this program.
Those are 2 people who truly love each other.
And you just can't explain it. You just have to listen to the people around them talk about it.
Final seconds here on senior night, and it'll turn into championship night. The Spartans have clinched a share of the Big Ten title. What a night for Michigan State. as the players savor those final moments. Maybe a banner going up to the Raptors. 81-61 for Fran Fraschilla, for Molly McGrath. Dave Fleming saying so long. Super Tuesday continues. Kentucky and Arkansas coming up now.
Thank you, Flem. Joe Tessitore, Sean Farr.